What's up, lemon heads? Welcome back to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. I'm Emily.
And I'm Crystal.
And this week we're going to talk about the dreaded digital marketing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. We love to hate it, don't we?
It's one of the most complex parts of marketing, and it's ever changing, and most contractors literally stay confused about a PPC and a CPC and a GLSA, and it's all the things. But we're here today to shed a little bit of light on the biggest mistakes that contractors are making with their digital marketing as part of their marketing strategy. And we've got a fun and fresh voice in our virtual stand today. I can't wait to learn from this digital diva.
Diva.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's sip some lemonade.
Let's do it.
I thought Digital Diva was pretty cute.
I love it. I mean, that's going to be like your new Instagram handle, you know.
Because Brie has such a little funkiness, so go for it.
All right, so I haven't actually met Brie in person, but Crystal brags on her all the time about her digital insight. And so today we have Brianna Skiffington, but she goes by Brie from Ad Leverage, and she is a complete rock star.
Yes, we actually met at Pantheon for Service Titan, and we were like, let's blow this place and get some sushi. So she found a place. We went and had like super cool experience at this really cool sushi restaurant, and then we almost got arrested.
Oh.
In LA, which would have been interesting because I'm
Oh.
straight up like rural East Texas.
They wouldn't arrest you just because of your accent. They'd be like, ma'am, just keep talking. We'll let you go. Like,
Yes. But
they
Brie,
probably wouldn't even say ma'am. That would have been you.
we were accidentally trying to get back to where we needed to go, and we drove like the whole way down a wrong way street, even like over. And then when people were like, that car's going the wrong way, and I got out and was like, I don't know what they're doing, they're crazy. Just trying to not be a part of it, but we couldn't help it. We actually drove on a sidewalk that we thought was a street.
Oh my gosh. Well,
And by we, I mean not me.
okay, so we need to skip the driving. So, Brie, why don't we get to know you a little bit more and what you do at Ad Leverage?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Brianna Skiffington. Go by Brie, of course, as you mentioned. I am the CPO at Ad Leverage. Some people are like, is that Chief Positivity Officer, Chief People Officer? No, product. So our product currently happens to be agency services, paid search, media management, organic SEO, organic social, organic search, all that good stuff. We have a production studio in-house. So we are a full service agency and really pride ourselves on, accountability, really fell into working with contractors and performance marketing just because of some clients that we had, the demand for it, and realized, hey, this is a really underserved market in a lot of ways. A lot of the other agencies that are out here are kind of, focused on, like kind of PPC mills and, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So we decided to formulate a model to be able to support, contractors on a bigger scale. And that's kind of how we got here. My part in that is, of course, product and leading the digital team. So,
Yeah, so you guys do some really cool things. So you'll have y'all were really getting a lot of shout outs and stuff in the social media groups. And so you guys do great things. What I really liked visiting with you guys about at Pantheon, though, was just the overall customer experience. And so like really helping contractors, because, Lemon Seed serves as the middleman. So we normally are working on behalf of a client who has said to us, hey, I don't really want to deal with my marketing, Lemon Seed. Like, here's all my dollars. Y'all just get it organized. And then I'm always like, hey, how can we help our contractors communicate better with you guys as a digital vendor? And so it just brought up some great conversations. And so the other day we reached back out about a client that we're both looking at working with. And I was like, oh my gosh, we totally need to do a podcast. So I know that we titled this mistakes that contractors make, but I wanted to start off on a positive note here. And so we're just like, what are some things that contractors are doing right now to like really kill the digital game?
Yeah, or some successes that you've seen.
yes. Okay. So the fun ones. I feel like the contractors who are killing it that, are in our book of business are the ones who are really focused on planning, right? So building what they think success is into their marketing planning and business planning, right? Usually a year at a time. So many people tend to budget for and build, marketing plans around where they are now, opposed to where they want to be. And then setting those goals aggressively too. I mean, the differentiators that I see are really like the people who are planning to do 20, 50, 100% growth over year are the ones who are kicking ass. So having the plan to do it, and once you build that out into a marketing budget, putting together what it actually looks like from the sense of how it's going to come together from a new customer acquisition perspective, because you're going to have your baseline revenue, you're going to have the revenue you want to get to, right? You've got to fill that gap in between with new customers, primarily from marketing. So analyzing each of your sources to figure out how to do that the most efficiently is how we're seeing a lot of success right now.
If I could stand up right now and just clap, just repeatedly clap.
Oh, I know. Well, and like, sorry, you're not expected to see 100% growth if you're going to have your same budget spend that you did
0.5.
this year. You know, you're not going to see that growth next year. Like,
Yeah, you're spending 1%, you know, and you're like irritated. And I always feel, I mean, I feel like I say this a lot, but I always feel like we can literally show you time and time again, this client's spending 8%, this client's it doesn't matter whether you're trying to do 10, to your point, 1 million or 25 million, 100 million. You got to be playing in the same sandbox. Or actually you need to be playing in your own sandbox, but you cannot be afraid of the actual spend. And so that's where I think contractors miss the boat. They're so concerned with every dollar. I mean, what my favorite thing is marketing's not working, quote unquote, not working because there's no demand. So they turn it all off as if that is the answer to lack of demand. I'm stopping all marketing because nothing's working. And you're like, okay, sir, why don't we like zhuzh it up? I don't know what the right word is, but you know, so we like live that. We 1000% agree.
well, and like, I just like how you started off. It's the people that have a plan. Like, those are the ones that are going to see success. So what are some other success stories or things that you see people doing right?
Yeah. So focusing on the cost per new customer acquisition and return on ad spend over things like cost per lead, right? Like so much of like the agency landscape has become, back in the day, it was competing on cost per click, right? Or CPM even, right? Then it went to cost per lead. Like that, I feel like is so 5 years ago in a lot of instances. You want to focus on the revenue that you're getting in, right? Like you want to focus on the cost to acquire an actual customer who booked a job and paid for services, right? Like optimize towards that. So you have to look at it that way and really start to optimize towards where that revenue comes from to make sense for the business, because so many agencies either don't want or don't take accountability for that aspect of it, right? They say, oh, it ends at the, you know, my job ends at when the phone call's picked up, right? It's like, to a degree, that's accurate, right? Like operations with the business are really important to convert those jobs and upsell them and make sure, you know, you're quoting 3 prices, right? Like all that stuff is really important. But at the same time, like you have to, as an agency, also point those things out if you feel that that's a weak spot, and you guys are partnered up in it together to optimize those metrics as well.
Well, and listen, that you want to hack off a contractor, tell them that, hey, we brought the lead, you just didn't bring the operational performance. And so we can, you know, rile people up, but honest to goodness, this is going to sound so crazy, but marketing is not that difficult.
Sure.
The operational side is what's difficult. So I acknowledge that. Like, I understand with enough money, we can buy enough leads, honestly. Okay. We can get there. The issue is once the phone rings, helping you perform better and like having a business coach or something, a good ops manager, all of those things are so vital to the overall success. And so many, many times people will say, well, my digital marketing's not working, Crystal. I don't understand it. I don't know how to read it. They show me all these acronyms. I don't know what I'm doing with it. And then I just don't think it works. So I'm going to stop services, and I'll go in, our team will go in and we'll be like, well, you got 60 leads off of that PPC campaign and you only sold 2 of them. You only booked 20 of them. And then of those 20, you only sold 2. And then I start like trying to help, like, okay, is the issue the quality of the lead, or is the issue the quality of the person running the lead or booking the lead? Like, where are the dilemmas? Which again, that's what Lemon Seed's for. But the issue is like, you have to be raw enough to be like, dang, what are we doing? What's wrong with, like, am our CSRs not performing? Is my text not performing? Is the marketing not performing? Like, marketing is a big game.
Well, and marketing is the first touch point, you know, in trying to get that customer to your company. And so I think that's why it can easily be more of the pitfall, or that's where it all went wrong. But in
Yep.
reality, it goes through so many other hands after that, through the CSR, then to the technician, then to the installer, however that flow might actually go. And there's so many other opportunities for it to go wrong, but marketing is just the easiest one to kind of point it to, if you will.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
you guys are actually giving a read on the cost per new customer acquisition.
Yep.
And so you guys are looking at access inside of their CRM to be able to pull revenue?
Totally. I feel like it's a must. But yes.
Yes. So, I've always felt like that was the missing piece, because again, the last time I checked, I can't pay payroll off of clicks. Like clicks don't help me make payroll. So, which I mean, I'm down for the overall. Like, I also find value in the fact that I'm running ads consistently, and I am getting the impressions, and I am getting the clicks. I'm more interested in how I remarket to the people that clicked that didn't make a decision.
Sure.
So there's a lot of value in that information.
Sure.
But revenue, friends, is how we pay our bills, and that's how we grow. And so I love that is a KPI that you guys are prioritizing. I think that's really cool. So
Absolutely.
we kind of led into the negatives, but
well, yeah. So let's just address it more head on right now. So what are some of the bad things, or where are contractors failing? Where do you see the most opportunity for improvement here?
Yeah, and it kind of plays off that same conversation with return on ad spend, cost per new customer, right? Is the CPL, the cost per lead or cost per acquisition, becomes such a focus that they're in a race to the bottom with the agencies, right?
Yes.
So it's like hey, this guy on Facebook said he's getting $5 cost per lead. Like, yeah, that's totally possible. Like, but have you tried calling a $5 lead cost? Like, have they picked up? Are they real people? Was it a an accidental autofill? Like, It's like, it's a race to the bottom. Whereas instead we try to take the opposite approach where you look towards value, right? And I feel like that's what's missing in the industry, and why I kind of mentioned or alluded to that it tends to be underserved by at least the bigger brands, because it's like they're focused so much on cost per click, cost per lead, that like they don't even go in. And a lot of times, this is the other like big pitfall, is like a lot of times when we're like picking up a new account from another agency, it's like there's not even like campaigns in Service Titan.
Not if they're a Lemon Seed client.
Right, there you go. Exactly. Well, we've never picked up a Lemon Seed client
Yes.
in that way.
But yeah, no, you're right. Like that, and we talk. I think I talk a little bit about tracking later. But one of that is a.
Or we've
I don't even
like,
know. Like, how do you do that?
Well, and just like how you said, like a CRM is a must. And so like if you aren't utilizing that and like actually utilizing where do these markets like to actual revenue, like what's the point? Like how can you really analyze and make educated decisions? Otherwise, it's just your gut feel, which is completely irrational and could change between tomorrow and lunchtime.
Well, yeah,
like,
and like your mood for the day. Your spouse pissed you off, and you're like, you know what? Everything sucks today.
That's right. I feel like that does happen.
You're like, my kids were crying all morning long, so everybody's fired. We're starting over. But like I kind of think about this sometimes. A lot of contractors, so we see the young guns, as people call them. We see a lot of young guns rolling up. They're quote unquote spitting fire on social media and living their best life. We get it, but the majority of the contractors across the United States, Canada, everywhere else, are not 30 years old. They're 50 years old.
Sure.
And it's hard. Take it from the almost 41-year-old. Take it from someone that I'm like, all of this digital transparency, and now transparency and real true being able to put the actual revenue to the phone call, like all of that is super techie to them. And so it's almost overwhelming at times. Like there's so much insight into how things are performing now that I don't necessarily know that they purposely want to do it, but there's so much information for a contractor to absorb and to navigate through that you're almost like, forget it. Like I feel like my website and Google, that's it. That's working for me.
Sure. They may not see the need to have different campaigns or tactics broken out, in their CRMs. Even if they do have one, they're like, digital, that's good enough, but if you ever want to start growing, that's where you do have to have it segmented out so that you can deposit funds or pivot and move as needed. You have to have it broken out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, at least into tactics.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. And so that kind of leads into the next one that I see a lot is like also splitting it out from brand, non-brand, paid, and organic. So I've seen it like Google. right? Just Google. Google's a bucket. It's like, okay, well, probably, half of that might be coming from your Google My Business profile, or, and the other half might be paid, but how is that then split as well? So obviously, splitting out paid and organic into separate, because one you can scale, one is a little bit, you can scale too, but it takes a little bit longer, right? You can't just add funds and make it double in a year, right? And the other aspect is brand and non-brand. We had a client we inherited recently who had 6% of the marketing budget was going towards brand. And we're like, okay, that's reasonable. Typically anywhere under 10%, like you could do that. It's not like a big focus of ours. We want to focus on net new prospecting. However, you want to protect your brand name. I get it. There's arguments for both sides. However, it represented, once we split it out, over 60% of their revenue. So if that's bucketed into one campaign, like, you don't know your net new ROAS. You don't know what that 40% is against the 94% of ad dollars that you're spending. And you're grossly inflating like what the agency is claiming the results that they're getting you, right? But that's not even like, aside from like ethical concerns there, it's like more like, well, you can't scale that. Like aside
from the lying.
Yeah. A little frowned upon.
Yeah. Here's another thing I say, like, branded and not this, like just the sentence you just said, most of my contractors will have fallen out of their chair because they can't get it.
Right.
And it's not that they can't get it. They don't have the capacity to take that on. Right. So really what we're saying here is there's a sense to having just your brand put in front of your market. Just literally using tactics that are not search based, that are just showing, that are just disrupting the consumer's daily life. Like, oh, there is an ad for Honey Bear Air, right? Not that they were searching. And then you've got the people that are searching for your services. So to the point here is you kind of need to know.
Yeah.
How is my branded one? The people that weren't even quote unquote looking for my service, how did that perform versus how did this one perform when people were actually looking for my service? So I don't know about y'all, but I really would like to perform really well when people are ready to make a move.
No, for sure.
So I understand that's where everybody wants to play, but there is many reasons to play over here in the branded pool too.
Well, no, I mean, that honestly helps when they actually get down to making a decision. Oh, I have seen those people, or, oh yeah, I see them everywhere. Like they look like they do good work. Like had they not had all those numerous touch points before, like who knows when it came to making a decision, would they have actually chosen you or not? Or the other person that's feeding them ads.
It's literally another interaction with your brand. And it's just a digital way to do it. And so again, once you break it down, you're like, oh, that makes sense, But Google, I see Google on marketing scorecards inside of Service Titan. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. What in the heck is that? And then they'll say, well, that's my website. I'm like, no, sir. Like, and really, like, I'm laughing because we know how complex it can be, but we also know how dialed in you can be if you partner with the right people. And, really just letting someone come in and organize that marketing scorecard will change your literal whole life.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, your decision-making process, you're all of a sudden going to be like, well, I've been running that magazine ad for 10 years. And I'm like, and it has generated $0 for 10 years. Or you might say, I'm shocked that phone book ad, people hate on me for a phone book ad. I'll show you all year long. Anybody that I have that's running a phone book ad is at least 15 times multiplying what their spend is. Easy peasy. And guess who's attracted by phone books? Older people, an older demographic that has more expendable income, that cares more about quality than price. Hello, all of the praise it Lord, all the things that we want. So again, we only know that though because we can track it.
And you're not going to go off those irrational gut feelings.
No, mercy.
So we probably have some contractors that are like, they're speaking about me. They're talking about me here. So Bree, what advice do you have to a contractor? Like, what should they start doing immediately to work with their digital vendor to kind of get these things moving on the right path?
Yeah. So, Crystal, I feel like a lot of the things you mentioned, right? Like a lot of these things are complex. They're a little bit beyond a lot of contractors, right? That's okay. The key here is just knowing to ask and what feels right and what you're seeing, right? Like make sure that you're getting at least transparency in your Service Titan or your CRM, whichever you're using. You're seeing things broken out by campaign, right? And then you're communicating and contributing to that, right? So we kind of take the initiative a lot to create plans for these clients to help them reach that growth. A lot of times it's just like, hey, I want to hit 50% growth year over year, 100% growth year over year. Like, that's aggressive, right? They come to us and we're like, yeah, don't worry, we'll plan for it. This is how we do it, right?
Yeah.
But also, we noticed that it's a lot of extra effort. Not a lot of people do that. So it's important that contractors kind of take that into their own hands and know, what are my goals? Like, if you're just like letting business ride and you're good with like 5% year over year, 10% year over year, that's fine. But that's not like the aggressive growth mindset that's going to increase your performance, increase your revenue, tune your business up, So you have to take that initiative and make those plans, or at least tell your agency or your vendor, whoever it is, what your plans, what you want to be, what do you want to achieve?
Yes.
Yeah.
And challenge them. How do you help me get there?
Yeah, I don't think any digital vendor is sitting there like, well, I didn't realize that you don't understand your ROAS. I don't think that I think or even things like, we didn't know you wanted a redirected campaign or a digital audio campaign. I always encourage contractors, this is what we are going to do on your behalf. We are going to communicate what's the end goal. So like, hey, Bree, what we're trying to do is, people are coming to my website. Like, you're telling me people are coming to the website and they're not making a decision. They're not calling. How can we remarket to those people? And you would say, oh, we can do remarketing. And this is or I can say, hey, I do really good on traditional radio, but like, could I reach people in a different way? Oh, we have audio everywhere. If you just tell your vendor what your need is, like, PPC is not an answer when there's no demand.
Right.
So if you only have pay-per-click, well, there's no clicking happening when it's a beautiful 70 degrees outside.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so you're mad and PPC is not performing. It's not designed to perform. It's not designed to perform there. But I need to communicate and say, hey, you know what? You're showing me all of this revenue generated from this PPC campaign. What else can we do? Or, I'm really seeing a lot of social media ads. Tell me more about that. But if you just sit there and nod and say yes on every reporting call, or you fail to make any of your reporting calls to even learn about what's performing, then you have now let go of the reins of the horse, and the horse is just wild and free. And there's no explanation. Like, you may, for instance, extreme weather patterns are going to change the performance. So if you're going to hurdle that year over year, you better understand what in the heck happened in July. So you need to be communicating like, hey, I know you're going to see a big jump in February. Well, we had the snowpocalypse in Texas, right? So pipes were bursting and people's heaters weren't working, and it was buck wild over here for 2 weeks. But instead you're like, why were we up 78% in February last year? Like, just those open lines of communication about your business. We, Lemon Seed, Ad Leverage, any of us, we cannot live in your office.
Sure.
We don't know when half of your team is out. We do not know when something tragic has happened or something great has happened.
Yep.
We do not know. And we also can't make you hire people that are any better than the people you have on your team. And so just communicating. I try not to ever go to the digital vendors and say, give an exact answer. Sometimes I'll say, hey, we're really frustrated that we're not somewhere closer to on page 1 right now. What can we do?
Yep.
Instead, contractors want to just pull everything. Like, y'all suck. It's not working. I want out.
I think sometimes, you mentioned they let the reins go too much and they're just wild and free, as you like to say, but sometimes I think they're holding on to it too tight. Like, they saw this one person raving about whatever this was, and like, I got to do that. They're not letting the experts do what they need to do. They're almost like, I know better than you. I live in my market. You don't live here. I'm going to tell you how it is. Here's what you're going to do. You're just going to do it for me. So sometimes it can be kind of the opposite. And we need someone like kind of in the middle. Like, we can ride this horse together, you know?
Let me say this too. Right now, I know we've got, GLSA, Google Local Service Ads. Okay. Local service ads. We've got PPC, pay-per-click. We've got map ads. We've got, retargeting, social media ads, all these things. Is there any one of those? Like, if you had a little bit of money, like let's say you're a new guy and you're just trying to get started, where would you, if this were your business, and let's say you're in a regular market, so not super rural, not major metro, just pretty regular area, where would you kind of start?
Yeah, 100%. The highest return on ad spend digitally, anyway. And YP or the Yellow Pages probably right up there, if not higher. So definitely would do some of that. I preach diversification, but LSA, right? Local service ads. It's the number one digitally for everybody. The challenge is there's typically not a ton of volume, especially when you're first getting started. But the trick that we found is if you can just be in the top 3 of review count in your market, you can typically get in the 3-pack. It tends to lean to, I mean, there's, Google says there's proximity, there's responsiveness, there's all these other things, right? But as long as you have a good review score and a high quantity and you're in the top 3 in quantity, you'll typically land in that 3-pack. Thus, you'll get the volume, and you might not even need to go to different channels, as quickly to develop that out. But you should absolutely test all of them, track all of them, see which one gives you the highest return, see which one has the lowest cost per customer.
Yeah, so I have some clients, I'm like, "Why are you not doing Google local service ads?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's such a I don't understand. It's literally you only pay. You only pay if you flip and book a lead. You over here spending $10,000 a month on PPC."
Oh my God.
Where people are just clickety clacking in there.
Yeah.
And now, so Jill, I would agree. Now you did like out spitting your own fire over there, Bree. One thing that is a struggle that I struggle to help contractors with, being really transparent, is when GLSA, when they're not showing up in that 3-pack. But you said something and it literally just clicked for this one particular client that I have. And he's like, I'm just so frustrated. He does not have a review generation automation set up with his CRM.
Yes.
Which I've been
how
talking
can
to
you
him.
get on top of that, without the reviews?
So little Susie in the office every day, she'll text out and say, hey, can you go to Google? And I'm like, why are we not integrating this? So you have like these Cadillacs. You've got Service Titan. You've got Schedule Engine. You're working with Chirp. You've got all these cool things going on, and you don't have your reviews automated over $500 a month.
When you just got little Susie and just, I got busy that day, so I didn't text out
I'm
anyone,
way behind, Miss Crystal, like, yeah. So, but that is eating away at, that makes sense. Cause I'm always like, gosh, proximity's there. It's optimized. Like everything's there. Your certificates are good. Your backgrounds are good. What is going on?
Yep.
It's going to come down to those flinging reviews. Yep. And verified reviews are hard to get when you can't get any volume. So if you will just focus on your basic Google reviews.
Yep. Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's great.
So it used to be that the guarantee, the Google guarantee, the verified reviews were more weighted towards your ranking. Now, supposedly in the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, they eradicated that. And now it's the same weight as a Google business review, so that you can get ahead without it having to be, you go into LSA, you input the job type, you input the email, you click booked. When did they book? Wait for a review. Hope they do it, right? You could just do it with something like Podium or whatever, or Pulsem, and just have it linked, or server side reviews, have it all linked up, have it go out automatically. And ideally you can have, and you want to train your techs when they're in people's homes. I mean, how many homes a week are they in? If they were to just get 25 to 50%, review volume out of what they're serving, like, it's like, you can build that up really quickly. So when people are like, but I only have 100 reviews and the next guy's at 1,000, it's going to take me forever. Not really. You probably, like even the smallest business, you're still in multiple homes a day. Like,
you just got to prioritize it.
Exactly. Well, and incentivize your technicians or whoever's in the home to make those asks,
Exactly.
A lot of times the people answering the phone or going into the homes, they don't understand the value or the importance of a review. So they've never thought to ask for it. So if you're not sharing that knowledge and like, hey, this is why it's important. Like, here's our goals. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's one way to help us reach that. Here's how you can directly impact that. Like, I think a lot of times people they don't communicate that enough to their team.
No.
100%.
So, and then what would you do next? So local service ads.
Ooh. So here's what we do typically is take a historical spend from every channel for like the last year. Just take a year of data, right? And it might be a small amount of data. It might be 5,000 on Home Advisor, 10,000 on Yelp, 50,000 on Google, right? Like whatever it is. Take it, compare it to the campaign revenue inside of Service Titan, or at least the calls or customers. Any data you have is better than none. You might, if you're combining organic and paid, like that sucks. You need to clean it up, fix it. But you can at least start extrapolating to see where you've been historically, and then do that for a month. And say, okay, if, obviously, if LSA got you $10 for every $1 you put in, and Yelp only got you $9, do as much LSA as you can, and then go to Yelp. And if Google only got you 6, then go to Google. And you just kind of like work your way down from there. If YP got you 15, that should be number 1. Max it out. You want to max things out until they are no longer achieving that, until they are no longer at that place on the ROAS barometer, right? And do as much as you can at the top so that you generate as much revenue efficiently as you can. And then you can like go to the bottom when it's time for scale. Like brand, there's obviously absolutely a place for that. My only point with separating brand from non-brand was that part is just not as scalable typically.
No.
So in the ROAS perspective, so it's like, do that. There's a place for it. But it's like, do as much as you can at a 10 ROAS first, and then go here.
Yeah.
Then go here.
And return on ad spend, which is what ROAS, return on ad spend, that's like second level tracking there, because
Sure.
it's really hard to get a measurement on your return of ad spend when you're not tracking like where you actually spend your advertising dollars,
where the ad spend is.
yeah,
Like,
or
imagine that.
the revenue that it generates to this. So it is next level, but the point that I'm gathering from a lot of this is start now
Mhm.
organizing your data so that you can begin, even if you have a month's worth of data. Heck, that's more data than you've ever had.
Yep.
So start somewhere with that, and then just start figuring that part out. Well, I think that a lot of times digital can be confusing because everybody feels like the wool is being pulled over their eyes.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's so full of these false KPIs. And really what I want to encourage people about is I don't think they're false KPIs. I just don't think we as contractors know how to equate them to dollars or
Yeah.
to brand, or what do we do with this information. You're not always meant to understand it either. Like the last time I checked, I can't go in and convert a tank water heater to a tankless water heater, but that's not my job. I can just tell people they need one.
Yep.
Right.
So my job is to tell people that they need one. Your job is to install it. So I say this quite often too, like let your digital vendor
Mhm.
do what they're good at,
Yes.
Yep.
which is give you digital advice, take their advice, listen to what they're saying. You don't have to do everything, especially when it's upping your ad spend and things. But honestly, if you can't trust who you're spending money with, that's your first problem.
Mm.
And so I just encourage people there, like, don't keep pulling the plug on if you look up in the last 3 years, you've been with 5 different digital companies, that's the first problem. Not those 5 companies. The first problem is that you've had to switch that many times. So either your picker is off of who you're picking, or maybe you've had a bad run of companies, but the odds of those, I can't name 5 bad digital companies in our whole entire space.
No.
I mean, I'll be honest, I would struggle to really name one quote unquote bad one. There are some that are more very templatized, like we're going to do it this way and we're going to charge you a lot for it. And then there's ones that I feel like, yeah, they're good when you're starting out. But to really get down. So I think everybody has a place here. But I
think it's the contract. They gotta like Taylor Swift it. Like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. Like,
Yes. Yes.
So I think the moral of today's topic is just to really understand your part in the digital marketing, like, how you can hold the digital agency accountable, but let them do what they're good at. And so the goal is to be seen and heard and capture the leads that are coming your way. And so you can't expect digital marketing to be your only lead source. You have to know it has a place in your marketing, and it's not a one-trick pony. You can't be a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Just encouragement there as contractors that are listening. It's really important that you just stay connected to your digital vendor. Make those meetings,
Mhm.
talk back to them, give
Yes.
them feedback, give them insight into your company, give them what they need to be successful. And if with patience, you will see growth with the majority of companies that some of you guys are with. So Bree, any last little thoughts there, Bree?
How do you sum all that up? Focus on your revenue, know where it comes from, campaign things, care about your data, and communicate that to your vendors, whoever they are, just what you care about and how you think they can help you get there, and ask them how they think they can help you get there too, because they might say it's totally not feasible, right? So gotta communicate.
Well, it's been so good talking to you.
Likewise.
I know.
Love catching up.
Yes, absolutely. We have to go for sushis and wrong way driving.
And I'll look forward to it next time. So
there you go.
We'll throw Emily in the car next time.
Absolutely.
I'll be driving next time.
Yeah.
Someone has to bail us out. I don't know.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So,
well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider writing us a review, giving us a follow? As always, thanks for sipping some lemonade.
we'll see you later. Thanks, Bree.
Bye.